Hello, I am Lisa Gardner, CEO of OMS Strategic Advisors and host of the Uncompromised podcast, where we have an unwavering commitment to values, beliefs, authenticity, integrity, or character that brings heart and care to an organization. I am bringing you some of the business's brightest and uncompromised executives and thought leaders to discuss challenging corporate norms. Today, I am so honored and pleased and thrilled to host Sarah Matson Miller, the COO and executive producer at the Emmy award-winning 1820 Productions. With a robust history of developing diverse visual content and working alongside industry giants like Frito-Lay and Toyota, and that's just to name a few, Sarah seamlessly blends creativity and strategic thinking. Join us as we explore the dynamic journey from leading significant portfolios at Pfizer to earning prestigious awards and making impactful contributions to various community boards. Welcome, Sarah.
Oh, thank you. Can you come with me every day and announce me like that? I mean, that's amazing.
I would be honored to. Oh my goodness. That would be the highlight of my day, honestly.
That's amazing. I need you to send me what you read or what you, send that to me. I've never sounded that great.
Well, let me tell you, what I'm about to say even makes you greater. And I think it's probably more important than just what I read, because I think this is the reason why you and your husband, of course, have had so much success. I met you approximately 14 and a half years ago, Sarah. And I know it's 14 and a half years ago because our company's been in existence for 15 years. Mm-hmm. And when I met you, I remember we had only been in our company maybe 4 to 6 months, right? And it was at a conference sponsored by Minority Supplier Development Council. And immediately, within minutes, here's what came through. You didn't even have to try because this is who you are. Warmth, sincerity, and your love of God shine through in minutes. And I'm excited for my listeners to see the authenticity of someone who truly lives those things out. I didn't say perfectly, but you live those things out progressively, and you're intentional, and it shines through. So Lawrence and I have enjoyed watching you and your husband grow your business to the success that we witnessed today. We have been fans from afar. He always brings up any news that he hears, through LinkedIn or anything of that nature. And you've been an inspiration to our community. I know that to be a fact. And I'm honored you said yes to being on the Uncompromised podcast. So truly welcome, Sarah. That's the true introduction that comes from my heart about you.
Thank you for the privilege of even being on your platform and the opportunity to speak to you. You guys have been pillars in this community for years and years and years. And we were just I had just transitioned out of corporate America into creative around the time we met. So that was probably one of my first ever supplier diversity conferences ever. So I really didn't know what I was doing, how I was walking into the space, and just trying to be open and aware and thoughtful and conscious, and just grateful to bump into people like you that were open in receiving new people into the space that really I didn't know this community very well, or even how to be an entrepreneur, quite honestly, having come from corporate America into creative America, just didn't even know what it looked like. So to watch you guys grow your business and to be in different organizations with you and amazed by you is also a blueprint for people like myself who had never worked with my husband before. He's the CEO of our organization of 1820 Productions. His name is Corey. Yes. And honestly, it wasn't until recently that we even told people that we were married.
That you were married. And what has been the response? What has been the response since you've told people?
And we don't broadcast it. We don't.
Yeah, we don't either. We don't either. But when people find out, because I'm going to share with you what I have observed, but share with me what you observed when
people are shocked. And because there have been many clients that have tried to set us up over the years, really tried to set us up. Like, have you guys ever thought about getting together? Because most of the time, I don't wear any jewelry when I'm on the set. Tend to be on the projects that are a little larger for our corporation, just make sure that the culture and our everything just flows through in every level. And and so people don't know, and we are in our lanes. We
Right.
purposely and deliberately, I'm in the operations, I'm on the producing, strategic, business development end of the house, and he runs creative team, has always run the creative team because that's what he has a degree in that. That's
Yes.
always just kind of been the thing, right? So
Yeah.
we very purposely and diligently stay in our lanes, and so people don't know until they just find out, and it shocks them, and they laugh, and then they get embarrassed, and I'm like, well, you shouldn't be embarrassed unless you were like really looking at the email chains and notice that there maybe was
Yes.
the same last name, but that's, we could be siblings for all you,
Right.
you get. So we just try to calm people down that, it's not embarrassment, and then explain to them the reason why we do it that way. We never, from the beginning of the inception of the company, and my husband Corey started the company and invited me had always wanted me to come out of corporate America into creative. And I had what was called the golden handcuffs on. For the audience that may or may not know, I was tied to corporate America. I was very fortunate to have worked for a great company that rewarded the people, and I had challenges and could excel and get promoted. And it just was amazing for me, a great learning ground for me. And I had those golden handcuffs on. So he was always trying to court me over.
Yeah.
And the timing wasn't right until it was. And so from that inception of us working together, we never wanted anybody just to think, oh, this is a mom and pop shop. Nope.
That's right.
We run it very seriously, very strategically, with purpose, with processes in place, and to get great results, because marketing dollars are finite. It's usually the line item in a budget that's cut first. So
Yes.
so we have to help you deliver on your investment. You have to help you deliver on your promises to your organization or your board or whoever it is that's saying yes to that marketing line item. So we take it very seriously, and never wanted anybody to think of us as just a mom and pop shop.
Right. And I would agree with you that that is something that has been this strategic focus for Lawrence and I as well. Even in commercial real estate, we're on the tenant, representing the tenant rep side. So we represent maybe the clients that you do business with as well. And we represent their corporate portfolios. And the worst thing in the world is for them to think that we're a mom and pop, because they think that we can't nationally go the scope. So, but I have found on the flip side that working with Lawrence, even though they know that we're married, right? There is a level of trust that starts at a different level when dealing with our clients a lot of times. And what I mean by that is we are finding that we don't have to work so long to establish trust as if we were individually in separate teams. And there's just something about it where God has worked it out, that the whole married proposition of business partnership has truly allowed us to go into doors that we believe would not have been as easy as well. So I found it to be a positive experience over 15 years. And like you and Corey, we stay in our lanes. Lawrence is the broker side, I'm the business development side with the client, but there's been a plus to it. And I think there's a certain power to it. It reminds me of the scripture that says, through unity, you command the blessing. I'm sort of paraphrasing the scripture, but it's in unity we can command the blessing. There's something with unity that's powerful. So I don't know. I see that with you and Corey as well.
Oh, thank you. And you know why when people find out, we always then laugh about it, of course, and then we talk about it from the vantage point for the client that we always say that we're not married until 8 o'clock, right? When the clock stops.
Right,
but,
right.
But the advantage of them having us as a dynamic duo, because we believe that we are, is
Right.
that they get us after 8 o'clock. We're thinking about it. We're talking about it on the weekend. We're,
Right.
all the things.
That's right.
To make sure that it's an amazing experience for everybody on the set, from the client to the agency to the crew and everybody and all the vendors. So they get us after hours. So they don't pay for all that they get.
That's right. They're getting extra. They're getting bonus.
Yes,
I like the way you formed that. I'm gonna have to use that, because that's true. Because after 8, yes, you can't help but to discuss what was going on. It just happens, right? So, well, I want to segue into my first question. When you and I talked, I think just a couple of weeks ago, you were sharing a story with me about how you as a leader ensured that everyone on the production set feels special, included, and can truly shine. In other words, you feel empowered, that they feel empowered to do their job well, but also there's a recognition that you give from whatever the job is. And I don't want to say from bottom up top, but just every job is equally as important. And I want to understand, what have you seen happen with this kind of leadership style? This is a formative leadership style that I found very interesting when you shared it with me a couple of weeks ago. So
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. And it's the same style that we not only use in sets, we also use it on our team. Culture is really very important for us. It's not only do you have the capacity and the capability to do the job that we're asking you to do, but if you really, you're not a culture fit, it's not going to work for us. And it is the same kind of philosophy and tenet, that servant leadership that we do and at our office on a day-to-day basis is that same philosophy that we take into the set. And for those that kind of don't know our space, usually there's a variety of different people in different departments on the set, from a production assistant that is running and getting everything done, to a gaffer who hangs the lights, to makeup and hair people, to director of photography that puts the right lens on per the director's vision. And then there's agencies, and then there's clients, and then there's vendors. For instance, this last project that we did at the beginning of August, there was 120 people on set. So you're moving a small army through the course of days and weeks and actually months in preparation for the time on the set. And it starts for us, especially this one was remote, and this wasn't in Dallas, it was in New York. So it starts for us on calls, because we always try to vet people that, especially when we're going into new area and don't have relationships, we try to vet people to make sure that they understand who we are. And usually they don't think we're real until they see us face to face, but or see us hugging. It starts in our emails and how we communicate with people. It starts in our text.
So good.
And so then when we get to like a Zoom call to vet people, the production designers that we want, or the food stylists of this particular project, to come on our set, they can then start to understand the culture of who we are from emails and text communication. It's reinforced in Zoom calls. We're going to laugh with you. We're going to want to know that you're capable and competent, but we're also going to laugh with you, because that same energy is exactly what we want on the set, right? Is intentional for us every single day for people to see and feel the love of God in a tangible way. We're not the company that's going to hand out a track or get in a big circle and pray. Our team is going to pray. Whoever on our team wants to pray. My husband, Corey, and I are going to play for sure. But that's not who we are on a set. That's not going to be who we are. But what we do want is that people to feel something different. Feel the love of God. They don't know it's necessarily the love of God unless they know our story. But they intentionally want them to feel seen, respected, heard, valued, and loved. And that starts texts, emails, Zoom calls, and all the way up to and through production. So when they come on set with us, they're getting hugged. Everybody's getting hugged. Usually, whether you like it or not, you're getting hugged by somebody, right? You're getting seen, you're getting heard, you're getting valued. We have discussion. There's no yelling on our sets. There's discussion and collegial respect for what people do, respecting people's gifts, because I don't know how to hang lights. They do. My job is to get them to the set and make sure that they have all the tools that they need to do a great job, so that the vision that Corey has cast as a director, that comes in collaboration with the agency and with the end client, that goes forth. My job is to get them all there. So we love on people, and how it comes out, Lisa, is just, it's pretty incredible, honestly. I'll give you a couple examples. This last set, one of our production coordinators who got bumped up to be a production manager, she's just like, I hate hugs. I absolutely hate them. But by the end of the project, she's sending us a card that says, loved hugging you guys. Like that's what it, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? We do nicknames for all the different people on the set. That's like 120 nicknames that our team creates, but it makes people laugh and makes them let down their guards, to know that they're a part of a big family. And for however long that is, however long this project is, you're with us. You're on the team, and you're going to be hugged and loved. I will also share that multiple people, not on just this one that I'm referencing, tell us all the time, I will drop whatever I'm doing to work with 1820 Productions because of
Mm,
how you see us and how you treat us and
mm.
how much fun we have when we're with you guys. And that to me, that's that.
That's it, isn't
That's
it?
it. The
And
know that the money and opportunities and projects will come, but at the
mhm,
end of the day,
mhm.
that are well done, right?
That's right.
Like
That's
that's
right.
our well done
That's your job well done. Absolutely.
that we saw somebody and
Mhm,
made them feel
mhm,
seen, loved, respected, and heard, and appreciated and valued. That's what
mhm.
everybody wants, and that's
That's
our
right.
job.
That's right. And I would and never and I, you can't take that lightly because what that is, it's planting seeds. It's preparing them for the next person that they will meet because they'll never forget that feeling because that feeling does come from a love of God, whether they know it or not.
Right.
Those intangibles are just as powerful as the directness that we could do in sharing the love of God verbally. But to me, this is even more powerful. Those intangibles are more powerful because you allow them to feel the emotion or the feeling of what it's like to be embraced. So it's not even a hug, it's hug physically, but to me, there's a hug emotionally that happens as well, if I'm not
And I
wrong.
will tell you that traditionally, like the production industry is kind of like carnies. It's kind of like the
Mhm,
circus. People come
mhm.
together to do a project and then
Yes.
go on. It's so to in those moments, it's you have to grab them. And like you said, it's just we're watering seeds, or we're planting the seed, or we're doing a little water of which God then
Yes. Yes.
does, for whenever it is. Maybe we've been on a set in California where one of the men that was on the set was like at the end of the week, was this like, my mom was in the hospital. This brought so much joy. Thank you so much. I needed this joy. And he didn't,
Mhm.
again, he didn't know who we are, but we just laughed with him from day one. And he was like, I've never experienced anything like this. Whatever you guys need, I'd love to work with you guys again. And thank you. You didn't know, but my mom has been in the hospital this entire time. And I needed this as a outlet for this other situation that I'm dealing with. And that,
Absolutely.
what a gift, right? What a
Mhm,
gift.
mhm. Absolutely. And just to even add more to that, we sadly we just found out a very close business partner of my husband's, close friend of over 20 years. He actually took his life on Sunday morning.
Oh my God.
And you talk about a powerful man in business, right? And what you don't realize, what you just described, what you do on set, I don't believe there's any other option but us to do that. And the reason I wanted you to describe that, and I want that to be the first question, because I think it sets a foundation that that's our goal every day, no matter who we're working with, what industry we're working in, or what we're doing. Those adjectives you described of what you are dropping in and pouring into individuals, because you have no idea that you had no idea that man had a tough time with his mother, right? Or that his mother was sick, right? But what you did for him, you gave him hope along the way, because we really don't know what people are going through. And I think as we look at our professions, as we look at the foundational piece of our professional life, that is it. And anything that is compromised beyond that, I don't think we can afford, especially in this day and time. So,
Lisa, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm heartbroken for you guys because I know you're great friends with him. I'm heartbroken for his family. And
yes,
I mean, mental health and challenges with mental health, it's epidemic, it's pandemic
yes,
right now. So I just thank you for sharing that. And thank you for,
yes.
highlighting that. That's important to us as well. And I will underscore one other element of it is
Mhm.
we also really make it, traditionally, the agency and client and the director, those are like the high level people on a set, and the
Right,
production assistants, they get, generally get the grunt work, right? That's
right,
just how it has over the years.
right.
We try to flip that and make sure everybody
Mhm.
knows that they are important on that set. If we didn't have that person, they're just as important as a director on the set, because it takes
That's right.
everybody to get the project done, right? It takes every single person doing, from the vendors, that caterers, that
That's right.
hire, to person that provides walkie talkies. Everybody is important and essential to getting the project done successfully, and timely and on budget and all those things, right? It
That's
takes
right.
everybody. And then we also different than any other set. If there's something to be done and there's not enough hands, I am the first person to pick up a table, some food, people's plates. And everybody on our team that usually flies to the projects, same way. We all have the same philosophy. We are not better than anybody else.
Right.
We might have brought the project to the table, but we are certainly if our hands work, we're picking up something to get it done, right? Because we're all in a team together. And I think that shocks people based on the traditions of this industry.
Absolutely. And especially it's in your industry. And that's why it was so interesting when you told me the story, because I thought that's not common, especially in your industry. So if you're doing that in your industry, how much more we need to do it across the line in a lot of industries, in all of them, right? And pick up that whole value proposition, that whole foundation of what truly gets the best work out of people even. And what it is, it's ultimately what you called earlier. You said this earlier, servant leadership. It boils down to that. And we know the greatest example of servant leadership, we know who that was. So, there it is. Let me ask you, Sarah, what inspires you and why?
Well, gosh, so many things inspire me. I can, from, the word of God, if you want to go deep in that perspective, but also really, really great teachers inspire me, mentors that along the way. And I will tell you, Lisa, this might sound bizarre, but my team will laugh and agree with it. Work ethic inspires people that are really great at what they do.
Yes.
They're not afraid to show it and teach other people how to do it. That just inspires me. Even if you don't know how to do it well, but you're willing to work, that inspires me to come alongside people and to push myself to even do better for you and with you. And work ethic is that's my jam. And people in their right space. Woo, yes. I love it.
I'm right there with you. It puts like a rev in my engine, and I'm like, there's just something being around those people that just lighten up, and they have the strength and the energy behind it, and they just go, and you're like, oh, okay, there is something about that. Yeah, it inspires me as well. That's good. How to handle disappointment?
That's a great question. I would say in my earlier years, when I lacked emotional intelligence, I would hold things for a very long time when I wasn't mature enough. And maybe even in the past, took it out on people, including myself, with disappointment. As I've matured and grown, I've kind of come to the space that I like to absorb it, see if there's anything I can learn from it. Like I'm a huge proponent of continual growth, continual learning. That I don't think I've arrived. I think I'm a really great executive producer, but I have so much more to learn. I want to be the best that's ever been. I am always willing to read a book or watch a video or talk to somebody or bug somebody until I understand. I always think that there's something to glean and learn from it. But I would say over the last few years, something that I have picked up and tried to hold on to more so is to move through it quickly, right? To not hold this disappointment to the point that it's obsessive in my brain, or that I can't move to the next thing, right? Could always kick yourself, like, I didn't answer that right, I didn't do that well, or man, I could have been better, whatever. But just to allow myself the space to learn from it and then move beyond it, right? And if we don't get an opportunity or didn't get the job, we really tried really hard to put our best foot forward to get the job, and we didn't get it, like a project. It used to take me down for a while, like, what did we do? What's wrong with us? But then now I'm more mature in my faith walk also to say, oh God, you didn't do that. Thank you for whatever's next. I'm so excited. Thank you. Do you know what I mean? And to move myself quicker into a space of gratitude, you closed doors. You closed doors my entire life, and I have been the better as a result of it. From people that I dated, people I was engaged to just every facet of my life. And now I'm, over the last few years, like I said, as I've matured, I am now in a space of, oh, you closed that? Thank you. What's next? Let me be in a space to say, I'm grateful. Let me live in that space of gratitude. And then let me live in that space of, oh, God, what's next? I am so excited about what's next. And if I live in that space, in the space of faith, trust, that what's coming is better than what's been. That I can live in that space of gratitude of, man, thank you for closing that door. But boy, there's a few doors I tried to pry open, and I am so glad. Oh,
that you did not. Yes.
That you did not. Because the ones I did pry open and open on my own, was not good. Was not the space that I needed to be in. I had to learn a lesson, had to learn a lesson the hard way. And now I'm like, okay, let me just be grateful. Let me live in that disappointment maybe for a couple of hours, and then I quickly move on from that.
And let me ask you this, sort of a tangent. Can you give a specific example of something where there was a huge disappointment, and literally within a certain time frame, you saw why that door was closed, and you actually saw the larger opportunity in front of you?
I will even say this summer has been really very, very busy. Usually the summers are kind of slower because it's hot in Texas. Nobody wants to do anything. People want to sit still. Right. But we have had just a significant uptick, and even through the pandemic, since the pandemic, we've just been very blessed to be kind of rolling steadily. But there was a project in the middle of that our team was so excited about. We put a lot of effort into it, and we didn't get it. And the team was like crushed, like initially, like crushed, like, man, we put so much into it. We had really good pitch conversations and calls with the client. It felt like it was coming to us based on the dynamics of the conversation, and didn't come to us. And I will tell you, had it come to us, we wouldn't have been able to take these other opportunities that came to us, because we usually run about 4, 5, 6 projects at a time. It would have added a layer that we might have had to pass on a couple of other opportunities. And it just, this is what we were supposed to do. Right. And
right.
And what our team learned personally, what I personally learned, what our team learned, was just exponentially more than what we would have for this other project. Exponentially. And that is priceless, right? And I think the ability, I will tell you, within 24 hours, we learned that we didn't get it. Within 24 hours, we all were like, we didn't get it, something better's coming. And the whole team kind of rallied around that, because we've been
that's right.
We've been saying it like that. Corey, our CEO, he's like, yep, something better's coming. Let's move off it quick. He's really been carrying that mantra for the entire team as well. And for our household as well. Like, hey, we got to move off this quick to be able to receive what God has for us. Right.
That's right.
And within hours, something else, just like within days, I should say, because it took our team a few hours to get beyond it and to talk through it and move beyond it, learn the lesson, keep going. Within days, this other thing came that just has blown our mind. Just blew our mind.
Absolutely. And that is a trust level and a maturity level that has evolved over time, especially when I think of Lawrence and I as well, as being the chairman of our company and the head of our firm. Definitely, it has been something that has evolved over time. In 15 years now, where it's less of a shorter span of disappointment and more like, then God did not want that. He closed the door because something else is coming that is more impactful, that's going to give him more glory, something, right?
And we know as entrepreneurs, in corporate America, it's a little different. It's different, right? I've definitely had disappointments in corporate America where I didn't get a position that I was definitely qualified for, thought I was ready for.
Right.
Put effort, sweat, tears, all that kind of stuff in, didn't get it. And then, you're passed over for whatever reasons. And even in those settings, I have come to realize in the corporate space that that wasn't the right time for me. I need to learn something else, more, whatever. But I will tell you, as entrepreneurs, it's harder to face that down. When you're in corporate America and you have what you think is safety, security, from a big conglomerate, big corporation, safety and security in your position, different than as an entrepreneur. You are what you eat is what you eat is based on what you kill, right? And people that are on your team have said yes to the vision because they believe in what you're doing, but it's not for the faint of heart. Entrepreneurship, I tell people that come to me all the time, like, it's not for the faint of heart. I will support you, give you all the resources and tools that I have received, happy to pass it on to you, but it is not for the faint of heart. You have to face fear down. For me,
Mhm.
had to face fear down pretty much every day, right? Pretty much
Exactly.
just you have to face it down
You
and
do. You
be
do.
willing to say, okay, which is why this mindset shift of, okay, live in the gratitude and look for what's next.
That's
And
right.
faith has really helped me shift over the last 5 years into, okay, let me be thoughtful about moving through disappointment and looking to where God is.
You know what, also, it's being responsible. You said, it's not for the faint of heart. So not only do you eat what you kill, but also you're responsible for other families. And you find that those other families, it becomes even more critical. Like it's, I'm responsible for, and I know ultimately God is leading us and he's pouring in, but still you feel a heaviness because you're like, I know this boy's children. I know what they're trying to do as a couple, as a family. And you just don't want to disappoint the families that God has entrusted you to as well. It feels like
Yeah.
so.
There's
Yeah.
houses that they want and trips that they want to go on, and college, if they have children, it's college. If they don't have children, it's, whatever their vision and
Absolutely.
dreams are, that I take that very seriously. We take
Very.
it very
Mhm.
seriously because
Mhm.
they could go to a large conglomerate, but the fact that they have chosen a smaller
Chosen. Yes.
so
Yeah.
company to align with, because we have a very rigorous interview process. It's not just like one time and you're in, because culture is so important to us. We
Mhm.
take you through multiple steps and meeting multiple people on the team as you go, right?
Mhm.
And we take all that very seriously. So when you actually come onto the team, you already know it's a smaller team. We're not going to we've chosen to stay at a certain space because culture is
Mhm.
important to us. If you get beyond 15 or whatever, you lose
It
culture.
it goes culture, right.
And that's way more important to us, right? And
Mhm.
so you've chosen, you knew, and we take that really seriously that you chose to come with us. And then for many people, you chose to come with a diverse firm. It's not just that you came to choose with a small company. You
Mhm.
came to align with, hook arms with a diverse, smaller company. And that
Yes.
brings its own challenges, issues, pain points, things that you wouldn't know or see unless you were aligned with a diverse company that can point out that was not fair, that was unethical, this was lack of integrity, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So
Well,
all of those things.
exactly. And you tell me a little bit more about that. When you say you've chosen to come with a diverse firm, tell me top two, top three things that choice is. What's the difference for our listeners to understand what that means?
Come with a diverse firm. I mean, it's any firm, any entrepreneur. You are wanting to make sure that they have integrity in their business practices and their processes and how they're going to treat you, and make sure that you have a paycheck every 2 weeks or month or however you're set up, right? So that's a very important point. But when you add on the layer of diversity,
Yes.
there are things that our team has learned as a result of um, we're certified as a hub certified company. We're certified as a minority supplier development company. And in the advertising space that we live in, most of the time, majority of the time, it is traditionally an all white space. It
Mhm.
just is. And majority of advertising agencies are run by Caucasian men, and some now women have been able to infiltrate, which is amazing, and some diversity has been able to infiltrate. But with that comes, as it is with many industry, you have to prove yourself. Where you would think that with 120 people on set, we would be able to easily say, well, absolutely, we can do a talking head project. We just had 120 people on set.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely, we can do a project that really would take 10 people. We can do it, but because they might not see something on our reel as having demonstrated it, they won't give us the opportunity. Our
Mhm.
team has seen over the years where we have been wrongly put in positions. People have used our certifications and used our certification to get the project or to land the RFP, request for proposal, or to land the project with the client. But then when it came to an opportunity for us to do the work, we were not allowed an opportunity to even bid on the work. So they have seen us be used for our certification and our qualifications, but then it has not bared out in opportunities for the team. So they have been vocal in sharing it with them, situations that we've been put in, that they're aware,
Absolutely.
that it still happens. We had a situation happen, during the pandemic that
Mhm.
our team was up in arms about and just furious about.
Mhm.
But, we had to point out to them, this is what happened. Somebody used our certification. We didn't get an opportunity. This is the steps that we have taken. And quite honestly, Lisa, I'm not sure how in depth you want to go in this, but
Go ahead.
in the past, as a newly starting off company, we would have not said anything. We would have bit our tongue and just kept moving, right? Just
Right.
to make sure that the work gets stronger every year, the opportunity, just to keep working and growing, right? Now that we fast forward, a decade,
Mhm.
we feel like we're more in a position to speak out. And it's our responsibility
Yes.
to speak out and call wrongs out and call a spade and highlight it for everybody, not necessarily for us, but for whoever's coming out
That's right.
after us to
That's
get
right.
the opportunity, right? Whatever next Black production company or Black director or executive producer or Hispanic or Asian, whoever's coming after us, we want to make sure that they get the opportunities that we know and have it documented. Now,
Yes.
we're not just going to speak out without documentation. We know, have it documented, and an organization in this city or this North Texas area,
Mhm.
we systematically presented it, showed it, presented it again, shared, hey, I don't think this is what you're trying to do, but it looks like this is what you're trying to do,
Mhm.
to the end client, and just exposed it all.
Absolutely. And
We
I
had
love that you said you're more in a position to do so, because in the beginnings, you're right. There was a lot of things that you overlooked being brand new into the industry, right? You're the second guest who has said this. Another woman by the name of Tori Littlejohn, she's another guest that's been on my podcast. She's the first African American female to hold the position at a global real estate firm that she holds, which is a managing director for that particular region of brokers and tenant representation and all of that good stuff. But she said the same thing. She said, now it's not like when I first started, how many over years ago, right? It's time for me to leave a legacy better and to speak up when I see the wrong. And I find that interesting that you said the same thing within your industry.
And I think that what's important about that is an important point that we should underscore, maybe space that maybe we would have compromised in our early career, because it was more about, we've got to make sure that we've got cash flow coming in, and to people that have said, yes, I'm willing to eat top ramen for years, but I
Right.
want to make sure that my team doesn't have to do that. Right.
That's
So
right.
fast forward now, we have an obligation for the people that are coming after us, but in the rooms that we're being placed in, it is important to represent and be vocal, but without compromising integrity, right? It's got to be, and now kind of growing more into it, kind of to what Tori said, you still have to be emotionless
Mhm.
in response in order to be heard. And I hope that the audience
Mhm.
doesn't take that wrong.
Mhm.
It's important in the situation that I'd explained, and I don't want to give names, of course.
Absolutely. Right.
We were emotionless, but purposeful in our responses,
Mhm.
written as well as verbally, uh,
Yes.
so that it can change the system. And the system for this organization did change as a result of us being vocal. So I want to bring that back and underscore that.
Very
Because
good.
we were vocal, the system changed. They hired another consultant to come in and rewrite all their processes. So in essence, it will be more equitable and fair going forward. But we had to do it, make sure that we weren't, all up in arms in an emotional state. We had to make sure that the facts were the facts, and we laid it all out, so that now that we were in this room, that we could be vocal without losing our integrity.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you were very intentional on how you entered into correcting this process. Intentional, strategic, however you want to name it. And very smart, very good. Well, let me segue into the next question here. Who has been some of your greatest mentors, Sarah?
Oh
I don't
gosh.
know if you can name them, or those who've inspired you as a woman of faith and a successful entrepreneur.
I would say from a faith perspective, like my grandmother,
Mhm.
prayed for me from a very young child, and I was the only grandkid. I'm just going to put a plug in there. I was the only grandkid that got to have a gold frame. There were 13 of us, and I was the only one that got to have a gold frame. I don't know if it's because she needed extra prayer for me or what it was, but
Right.
she just was really intentional. I spent a lot of summers with her. I would go to church with her and
Yes.
all that stuff. She
Yes.
was probably the first, and I was also a very bad, wild child. And she would always,
Sarah, I do not believe
I
that. I
promise,
do not believe
I
that.
promise you. Yes, I promise you. And she would always tell my mother, don't give up on her. She is going to make you very proud one day. Because I was bad. I was a bad bed. And she
Did
was
you say there's 13 of you? Did I hear you say that?
13, not kids, but grandkids. There were 13
The
grandkids.
grandkids. Okay, I got you. Okay.
So she was probably my first inspiration of really understanding somebody that she, would recite the 23rd Psalm, with me and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
She taught me that. And so from an inspiration, from a faith perspective, she's like my first. And then like, as I've grown on, I've had some great male mentors when I was in Pfizer.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wright, I just remember him being like the first man that sat me down, African-American man that sat me down and said, okay, sis, do this, don't do this. I want to make sure that you're successful. So, him, and then from other women, like in this community that kind of balance both, business as well as faith, St. Marshall is just incredible. And Matrice Ellis Kirk. And I mean, I've just seen these amazing pillars. I mean, Oprah, of course, has been, Michelle Obama. Those are great pillars that are unapologetic about who they are and their faith.
Absolutely.
And I love that. So, I gravitate towards that. But, it first started with my grandma.
Love that. And that's a foundation that I feel like it should start with, right? It's that in your life.
And two other things that I got from my grandma, I will just say, she loved to look at the dessert menu first. So I always try my dessert whenever I'm at someplace, like if there's a banquet or something, I'll try my dessert to see if I'm got to save room for it. And then she was always beautifully dressed until the day she passed. And I try to model myself after that.
Oh, I love that, Sarah. I love that. There's something, grandparents play such a huge role in our lives. And it's so funny as we're going through this interview, Sarah, there's so much more that I relate to with you, even though, and I knew that back then, but so much more now, just the things that you're saying. So the whole grandmother scenario and an example I can relate to so much, something very special. Okay. What have you learned more about your marriage with your husband as a business partner? That you otherwise might not have learned if you did not work with your husband?
Oh gosh, my goodness, so much. We fully believe in counseling. That's the only reason that we probably stayed married. We celebrated our 24th year just this past August. Thank you. And we do periodic checkups with a counselor, a therapist, to make sure that we go the distance, right? For as a married couple, it's really important to us. So even when we're doing good, we go just to make sure that we can navigate through things and talk through things. And I will tell you that he initially was like, I would never advise couples to work together. But he said, you guys have been doing it for so long and you found the sauce, the secret sauce for you. So I would say, like, some of the secret sauces for us is we've learned patience, both, and respect for each other's position. The perseverance of working together, and the beauty of it is that we get to celebrate the wins together. Not many people get to the level that we do. We've really had to learn to stay in our lanes. I've really had to learn and respect him as the CEO, as the head of creative, and he's had to learn and respect me as operations, an integrator, a business development person, and the decisions that I make in that space for us. What we've, probably the biggest thing we've had to learn is two biggest things: balance and when to shut it off. Because it's really easy to, especially when business is flowing, to stay in that business discussion, business talk, right? It's super easy, but we have to had to learn, okay, now we're going to shut it off and we're going to be, husband and wife, and we're going to talk to each other about, dreams, happiness, what's made you happy today as a person, where are you growing, where do you need support from me, I love you, that kind of stuff, to make sure that there's time for love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that balance of that, right? It's
That's right.
easy to lean on the work, especially when the work is working. So it's really important to come back to the balance of it. And I think that's true for anybody, whether you're working with your spouse or not, just to make sure that you shut off the work and come back to the balance of, you are not your job. You are not your career. You're independent. That's what you do. Who
That's
you
right.
are is important, and to develop the character of that, who you are independent of that, is really important. I didn't know that in corporate America. My whole identity was tied up in my career, because my whole identity was tied up in that. So it's really been important for me to kind of find out who I am, independent of what the company or the position that I hold in creative America.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely. Very solid. What do you believe are the challenges facing women of color professionally? And how should they respond without compromising, Sarah?
Ooh, so tough. I think the challenge still remains that we're unseen. It's the biggest challenge of not being seen. And, you know, juggling everything that you have to juggle as a woman of color professionally, especially if you also have family and, excuse me, if you have family, all that was required for that. And then if you want to be involved in the community, all that's required of that.
Right.
And it's the being unseen many times in the corporate space or in the business space, and then the juggle. That's, I think, still, it's been the challenges for years, and I think it's still the challenge. I think there are more opportunities than ever before, but I still do think that, with the situation that happened with George Floyd, everybody was, embracing and leaning into diversity, equity, and inclusion. And now it died down. It's, people have backed away from it. They're like, we're done. We're enough of it. So I still think, the pushing, leaning in, not compromising when you're in the room, but to a point I mentioned before, you have to be effective with your words, but not let them sting so much that people will withdraw from you and not give you the opportunity, right?
Your words should bring them closer, right? Should bring them closer, rather, right?
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. Okay, just a couple of more questions here, because I promise to respect your time here. What is it we should not compromise as people of color? What have you seen compromised among people of color?
Yeah. Integrity. Not all money is good money. And just to align with, if you're a believer, whatever you believe in, to put your integrity and character, out for you to remind yourself what it is, and to be okay with walking away from a situation if it doesn't align with your tenets of who you are as a person, whether that be faith or character, or whatever it is that you hold as dear and true for you, like up on a wall. I'm pointing to the wall because that's what I'm looking at. Like whatever
Right.
you hold as your tenets,
That's right. That's right.
it doesn't align with that, walk away.
Absolutely.
Walk away. Not all money is good money, and that's really hard for people of color to do, because we have worked so hard to be in spaces, and in order to succeed, we've many times had to code switch or do, whatever we've had to do to be. And I think we have many times compromised who we are and what we really truly believe and our authenticity for it. And I think as more and more of us are gaining strength, we have to share with the future generation so they don't have to chart a brand new course. But we also need to walk away if it doesn't align with who we are.
Absolutely. You mentioned code switching. I want you to explain to the listeners, for those who may not understand what that means. What does code switching mean?
So many times, if you're in a situation where people don't look like you assimilate into how that group of people talk, walk, act, feel, be, and you don't bring your authentic, true self that, has curly hair or whatever, has twists or has, laughs a little louder or whatever, you damper down your authentic self in order to be assimilated into the culture that's around you. And I will tell you, as a woman, I'm adopted. I was raised by an all-white family, and I understand that very well. I understand that because that's the world I
Mhm.
grew up in, lived in.
Yes.
And didn't really experience more of culture until I went to college, and and all that comes with it. So yeah.
Right. I like how you said, and all that comes with it. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What brings you, what brings your heart joy, Sarah, over the span of your career? And what brings your heart even a little sadness over the span of your career?
That's a great question. I will say the continual growth and learning brings my heart just like immense joy over the last, I mean, just the progress like that you had mentioned earlier that our company has made, and our love and embracing of people, that brings me just great joy. I mean, it just, that is my when somebody comes to me and says, whatever job, I'll jump off it to come work with you, that just, what a gift, right? And that continual growth and continual partnership with people and making our core team happy, that brings me immense joy. I mean, from a sadness perspective,
Mhm.
probably that I was so engrossed in work that I did not choose family, that I chose work. And I made that decision intentionally when I was in corporate America. And that maybe brings me a little sadness, but we really didn't try to pour into the godchildren and children around us, and nonprofits that deal in that space.
Yeah, there's no doubt that you and Corey have, you've parented many, many. So no doubt. Here's my last question for you. What would you like to see your peers, that means other executives, other leaders in industries, discuss and exhibit by example for our next generation to follow, and why?
Oh man, that's a loaded. There are so many things.
Mhm.
That one, I think I'm going to lean into transparency, actually.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
and I'm guilty of it, over the years when I was younger. Again, emotional, not as emotionally intelligent as I am now. I would say that I was guilty of holding all the breadcrumbs and not being willing to share the blueprint. And
Right.
now, we are as a team so much more open to sharing the blueprint of how to do it, how to pitch a project, to how to, what is it, how can we help people that are in the next generation
Mhm.
accelerate so that they can help more people. Really, at the end of the day, it's about legacy, right? And for us to really have a strong legacy, we have to tell people what we've learned and how we did it so that they
Right.
don't, they still fall in the pitfalls, things like that. But at least we've shared with them, hey, here's some things to think about. Here's an operating system that we use that was successful for us. Here's a few other ones. Take whatever works best for you, but at least here's some information.
Mhm.
Because we are not here. We're here because other people were so gracious to us and gave us breadcrumbs along the way. Could we have accelerated if more people had been more like, here's how you do it? Yeah.
Right.
So we are invested in doing that and being that for more people, that whoever comes to us. I will tell you that with
Mhm.
this next generation,
Mhm.
Lisa,
Yes.
I'm gonna tell the next generation, if anybody's listening to that, I don't know if the demographic listening to
Right.
us,
Right.
if you find somebody that is doing what you want to do,
Mhm.
bug them,
Mm.
bug them.
Yes,
Do not take no for an answer.
that's
Get
right.
out your calendar, find them at church, find them, at the drugstore, find them wherever, go to, if they sit on boards, try to figure out what organizations they're involved, bug them and get on LinkedIn, send them an email, see if anybody, bug them until they say yes. Because more than likely people want to share with you, but they just don't have time. But it's your
Absolutely.
job as the next generation to demonstrate your work ethic, to demonstrate your hustle and tenacity, and that you want these pearls, and you want to be able to absorb, but you have to go after it. You have to go
Mm.
after it. You can't just sit idly by and ask, wait for it to come to you. You got to go after it.
Absolutely. But I think that is even a reminder, even for our generation as well. I think your message spans from the C-suite to the entrepreneurs all the way down, right? And constantly bug those that you are that you feel worthy of emulation in this season of your life, right? From a mentor standpoint, mentoring never stops. I still have mentors like you do, right? Been in the business a long time, right? But I think that goes from C-suite on down. Everyone needs someone to reflect from. And you are absolutely right. Whether it's the next generation, which specifically that will be the audience, but also the audience is going to be your peers. And I think they can take that answer as well and run with it. So
can I say one thing really quick? I know we're at time.
No, go ahead.
One mentor, another person introduced me via email because she knew I had aspirations. One day I want to be on corporate boards. I serve on a lot of nonprofit boards. Yes. I want to be on small, medium-sized boards. It's my desire, right? And so I put it out there, and she connected me with a CEO of, at that time, a first Black female CEO of a tech firm out of San Francisco. So like she's right. I had literally 10 minutes with her on a call, and I was hyperventilating because I was so scared that I was like, this woman said yes to my 10 minutes. And I would tell you, Lisa, the first thing out of her mouth was, your LinkedIn profile is terrible. But what it did, I loved it.
Yes. Yes.
It came right for it. She had 10 minutes. I was going to be very conscious of her time.
Yes.
And what I wanted from her is to tell me what I needed to do and encourage me and give me thought on how I can be better in the moment. Right. That's what I wanted. And every time after that, I would ask for 50, every like quarter or every 4 months, I would say, can I have another 15 minutes? And I would, and I'd bug her until, 15 minutes. And then one time she flew through Dallas and she gave me 40 minutes because I had been diligent and patient and respectful of the 15 minutes and pushing past my fear and willing to take the advice she gave. And then I reported back on the advice. Like, you told me this is what I did. This is what I did. This is how the company is growing. This is, all these things. And to this day, I love this woman. Her name is Shelley Archambault. She's amazing. She's wrote an incredible book called Unapologetically Ambitious.
Wow.
Amazing. Anyway.
Well, you may need to use you. I love when I meet referrals for the podcast. I may need to have you do a warm introduction for me, possibly, to see if she would say yes. So never know. Well, thank you. This was invaluable. I know the listeners will appreciate it. And of course, it was very special for me to have you. So
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for the platform to be able to share a few nuggets of wisdom. Whatever I can do to support you or anybody that's listening, please reach out to me, LinkedIn or whatever. The gifts that have been given, I freely give. It is
absolutely.
Whoever needs it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah Matson Miller.